What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to be reviewing two special figures, Combiner Wars Thundercracker and Skywarp. These are obviously not masterpiece figures, but they kind of came out in between the masterpiece releases and some of the Combiner Wars actual combiners, and they're based on the Jetfire or Skyfire mold. So I know they're good bots and they're good vehicle modes, but what I really wanted to see is, do they fit in with the masterpiece line? So today we're going to be doing some comparison between these guys and the MP11 Starscream mold, as well as the Combiner Wars or Leader Class Jetfire mold. I'll have to get these guys out of the box, but let's take a look at the packaging for one of these guys. This is, I guess, the same on all the Combiner Wars. You've got the Transformers logo over here, and kind of a picture of what I wish they had as his actual head. That's not what his head looks like, unfortunately, but this would have been a great mold if they had this head. But a nice little picture here. Same on the side. It's kind of the same image there. And again, I kind of wish they had a better head mold. On this side, you just got the Autobot logo. Actually, this is a Decepticon, so it's kind of weird they have Autobot logo, but they do. And on the back, you've got some product shots. It looks like it's the figure. It's not brushed up too much. And there's a bio here that I'm not interested in reading. But basically it says it transforms in 17 steps. You've got a launching missile, the same one that Skyfire had. Now, these guys in the cartoon did not have this gun, so I'm probably not going to display it with that, but looks pretty good. And we'll get these both of these figures open out of the package and take a look at what we got inside. Now, you do have kind of an inner shell here where there are a bunch of different figures on the back. Most of them are, actually maybe all of them are Combiner Wars figures. So they're kind of just showing you figures that have already been made. I don't see any unique molds there that we haven't seen yet. Looking back here, they mostly look like Superion, Combiner, and maybe a couple others, but nothing unique there on that. So that's about it for the package. Get that out of the way. Now, it does come, they stopped using the twisty ties, and they're now using these, what you get on clothing, which is little tabbed pieces, so you have to actually cut them. You can't put them back once you cut them. So I haven't cut this yet. I just wanted to show how this was packaged. It also has the little plastic piece that's looks like it's got a rubber band attaching it. Yeah, so there's a rubber band attaching that. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different ties holding this guy in. It also comes with the card. It's basically taped back here, and it's actually a pretty nice card. Pretty thick, good quality. It's cardboard. The back just says Transformers Generations, and a little bit confusing because it has, this is Generations line, but it's also Combiner Wars. Obviously this is not part of a combiner, but they're calling it part of Combiner Wars. I think it's just a leader class for Generations, but whatever. But very nice card. I like this. I'm actually going to use this. I appreciate they included it. It's a nice animation. He's got a good head sculpt here, but the figure itself, not the greatest head sculpt. Also on camera, it's looking a little bit blue, but I assure you this is a very bright purple. All the purple here is a very bright purple. So we'll get this guy and Thundercracker out of their box and removed from the packaging, and be right back. Hey guys, we're back from removing the figures from their package, but I did notice some differences in the packaging and also in the some of the content, so I did want to point that out. One thing is on the back of the box, you've got product shots. They've really touched this one up quite a bit. It's actually not even that color. This is the figure here. So it looks like they added some details, some almost like weathering, and there's no weathering on this figure, so that's a little different. I'm not sure why they chose to do that with the Thundercracker and the Skywarp. It looks just like the figure does, but that's one difference. Nothing else really in terms of the boxes. They both have picture of the figure. I wish they had these head sculpts, but they don't. But they are slightly different head sculpts when you look at them there. Front of the box is the same, side of the box is the same. Now, the inserts are also slightly different. I'll show that here. For whatever reason, they made the Thundercracker one with a thick cardboard that's taped together on the corners, and for the Skywarp it's a very thin plastic. It actually folds out and it's not taped together. So they changed their materials between these two figures. No idea why. Just something to note. As far as the way the figures were packaged, they were pretty much the same. They both had the rubber bands and the little twisty ties that you get sometimes in clothing or socks. By the way, I haven't removed this gun just because they're both the same. The only difference is the other gun for Thundercracker has a gray button and a gray bullet. Oops. So one thing I hate about these guns is they're very sensitive and they shoot off just with a slight touch. So I'm going to leave this one in the package, but just note that they are identical with the exception of the gray button and the gray bullet. But that's it for the packaging. I just wanted to note that slight difference. The backgrounds look the same, although one is blue and one is black. Other than that, they are the same. We've also got a difference with the instruction booklets. And again, no idea why they've changed this, but this is for the Skywarp figure. It's kind of a fold out. Awful way to have instructions. It's super long thing here, and I don't know why they did it this way, but not impressed with this at all. I don't know why they chose to make it that way. Fortunately, I don't need the instructions because I know how to transform this figure, but I think this was a poor choice for instructions. And this is the Skywarp. It has the same big long fold out. Only difference is this is like glossy paper, and the for the Thundercracker, whereas the Skywarp one is kind of a matte paper. But all in all, similar, just slightly different in the way it was folded and the type of paper used to make it. But I'm pretty unimpressed with the way they make this, because it's kind of hard to, you got to have it folded out all the way like this in order to see the instructions, and that doesn't make it easy to use. Anyway, that's about it for the instruction booklets. The cards are pretty much the same. You got a slightly different background image. I do really like these cards. The way they were designed, it's nice that they included it. It's a nice thick cardboard, and I'm going to be using these, so I'm glad they included it. But without further ado, we'll get the figures up here. And here is Thundercracker and Skywarp. Now, they are very similar looking in robot mode and in vehicle mode. The only difference is the coloring. I kind of wish they made something different with the head sculpt, and we'll just get him in close here. It's just it's very similar. Now it looks like the light piping on the Thundercracker is slightly, either it's lighter or maybe it's a different clarity, but it looks slightly different. But as far as the face sculpt, it's identical, and they're not very good face sculpts. They don't look like the G1 characters from the cartoon, and the way they're built, they kind of look like G1, but not quite. The wings, for example, are backwards. They should be, the Decepticon symbol should be on this side, and there's a few other things. Another thing I noticed is the wheels on Skywarp are purple, whereas they're black on Thundercracker. This is the same as the Jetfire mold. So, slight difference there, but other than that, pretty much anytime you see the black here, it's purple here. Same with the chest, it's purple kind of through, and the rocket boosters are purple instead of black. So nicely painted. From the back, you start to see some of the differences in jet mode here. And it's well painted. They did a good job with the paint. You got a purple nose cone instead of the black. Slightly different paint job here for the wings. But well done. Really, really well done. Now let's get Jetfire here, and for a quick comparison, here is Jetfire, and we'll just kind of put him in the middle here, and for the sake of comparison, let's put him in the same pose. One thing I actually didn't know until recently is that this foot actually extends down to get a little more height, and I pretty much never did that, so we'll do that now just for the sake of making them look the same. But my opinion is it looks better when the feet are not extended that way. Alright, so there you have the three figures together. And Skywarp definitely looks different. I'm sorry, not Skywarp, Jetfire. Jetfire or Skyfire, whatever you want to call him. Definitely a different looking figure. I'll give you some of the key highlights. The chest is definitely unique, and I love the way they did this chest on Jetfire. Obviously got this face mask. We'll take the face mask off. The face sculpt itself is very different. The head sculpt and the face sculpt. Different size. He doesn't have these ears on the side. He doesn't have that jewel. Oh, even he has a little thing in the middle, but it's not a jewel. These guys have a little jewel in the middle of their head. I've been told that is supposed to be accurate to the IDW comics, but I'm not familiar with that comics. Other differences, he doesn't have the faux engines here, or faux intakes, whereas these guys do. And also the faux cockpit is down here versus up here. So very different chest. They didn't paint these little knobs here a different color, whereas on Skywarp and Thundercracker they are a painted part. So slight difference there. This is the Dakar version, so I have the red and black guns versus just the chromed out red, which I hated that chromed out red. So that's slightly different. The fact that you've got painted, the guns here are painted, I think they're molded red and then painted black on the end here. Trying to tell. Yeah, I believe they're molded red and then this part's painted black. So whereas the guns on the Skywarp and Thundercracker are just molded black. And you can tell, you know, this is a little bit glossier. Got a glossy finish on the Jetfire one. So Jetfire one again is pretty high quality, mostly because it's the Takara version versus Hasbro. These are both Hasbro. This is Takara. So you get some differences in quality on the paint. Another main difference is the wings. These wings, while in robot mode, do not move, but in jet mode they do move, and we'll take a look at that when we transform these guys into jet mode. But these, they do not move, and also they're set out wide, and that does kind of differentiate them quite a bit. Now, in the cartoon, these guys did not have these. They had their null rays. So I'd like to get their null rays attached here, just so we can see what it looks like. And they definitely look different once you get these on here. So let's take these off and attach these. And definitely like the look of that a little bit better, only because it differentiates them. So we're gonna take these guys off, maybe attach them up here as missiles. Ultimately, you know, you can put this kind of any way you want. It's really up to you, but I prefer these guys to have null rays because they're Seekers, and Seekers had null rays. At least that's my recollection. So I think to differentiate them a little bit more, and also to make them a little more accurate to the cartoon, I'm going to switch out these weapons. And Skywarp, actually, the paint on him is really nice and bright, and the silver is like kind of a glossy or a shiny silver, a metallic. I guess I'll say a metallic silver. I guess this is metallic too, but it really looks good. I like the way they did it. It was a good design. So let's get these up here. And now you can really kind of see a difference between these two molds. That's about it for comparison with Skyfire. I mean, obviously you do have the Jetpack for Jetfire, whereas Skywarp and Thundercracker do not have that Jetpack. Now you can take it off and attach it if you wanted to. I'm not sure why you would want to, but you can if you so desire. You can remove it from Jetfire and fold down the cockpit, snap it in, and put that there. And it looks pretty dumb because it doesn't match the color, obviously. Now maybe it'd look a little better on Thundercracker, so we'll take a look. And it does kind of match the paint here, but again, no reason to do that. Does not add any value whatsoever. But for the sake of comparison, they do attach if you want them to. But with Jetfire, it matches so well, and it looks so good. I really love this figure. This is my masterpiece, Jetfire. I mean, since there is no masterpiece Jetfire just yet, they haven't made one yet. This is my stand-in until they do. Alright, so that's about it for the Jetfire here. I'm going to get him out of the way, and we'll bring in the Masterpiece Starscream. Now here is Masterpiece Starscream. He's on his stand here, so let's get him off the stand. By the way, this is the stand from the previous version of Starscream. Oh my goodness, I forgot how much I hate this figure because it does that. I've tried to repair that so many times and I can't seem to repair it. Anyway, if you have this figure, you know about how horrible it is, the fact that this comes untabbed. My God. Alright. Sorry, you can hear me kind of cursing out this figure because I hate it. So, this thing was $200. I picked up this from TF Source, and fortunately it was on sale. We'll back out here a little bit. This guy I got for, I believe, $25, and this one I got for $40. Both of these guys were on sale. So when you compare that to a $200 figure, which has all sorts of quality issues, and you know about some of them. We've got the wing that falls out. We've got the floppy chest that wants to go up and down. Oh God. And you know, just too many problems to go back into without getting pissed off. So we won't talk about that. But in comparison, scale-wise, it does look like they're a little bit bigger. Oh, they're a little bit bigger than Starscream. I think they're actually slightly taller. Their heads come maybe another half-inch taller. And they're also just bigger and bulkier. But I like that. I like that they're big because it fits. It fits with Masterpiece. And now the head sculpts are kind of crappy, but these guys were $200 each if you wanted to get them, and now they're actually even higher. They're like $215, $220 if you wanted the Masterpiece versions of Thundercracker and Skywarp from Takara. If you got these guys, I paid a total of $65 for both of these. And to me, they're pretty good stand-ins. You know, I've got a good trio here. You know, they're not identical, but I think they're good enough for the price that I paid. I feel like as a stand-in Masterpiece, Thundercracker and Skywarp, these guys do the job. It also helps that this mold sucks. You know, it's got so many problems with it. And, you know, I really couldn't justify $400 to complete the trio. So, to me, this is good enough. You know, I'm not a huge Seeker fan. I mean, I do like Skywarp, the character, but this thing just has too many problems. It's also the most expensive Masterpiece figure I own. It's far more than anything else. I think the one that's closest to it is probably Masterpiece Ultra Magnus, which I believe was $179, I think, or maybe it was $169. I think it was $180. So even that, which is a far better figure, bigger, more features, more functions, and it was cheaper. So, kind of a final thought about the having them as a stand-in. Oh man, it really does work. It works. We do have these weapons here that you can kind of attach if you want to, but I find them to be unnecessary and sort of weird looking. So we'll get those guys out of there. I'm not going to cover articulation, but only to say the Thundercracker does seem to have a little weirdness with his ratchet joint on his leg. It's almost like there's too much play. The Skywarp woman, well, they're both kind of like that, I guess. So it's almost like they have a little too much play in their leg joints, a little more than what Jetfire had. But other than that, you know, nice clicky joints in the arms, in the elbows. You know, you've got the clicky joints in the elbows there. Now I think This is why some people don't like the null rays, because they kind of, oh, look at that. So it looks like his arms don't stay pegged too great. They did come out, but that's probably because you got the null ray in the way here. So it does fit back there, but it does kind of bump up against the wing, which knocks the shoulder out of the wing. But overall, you know, it does work. And pretty good joints on this, considering it's a Hasbro figure. Now, I did talk about this foot here. You know, you're on a rocker, and you can kind of push the rocker back, and that brings his height down a little bit. And so, if we were to compare now to Starscream, now you've got Skywarp kind of up on his extensions, where you got Thundercracker down. Now they're pretty much the same height at this point. So I plan to pose them this way, you know, with the feet kind of pushed in. I also think it looks a little goofy when you extend it, because now there's a gap, whereas this one there's no gap. So I think you're better off not pulling it out and just having it sit down, you know, inside of the cavity there. You know, it looks better for the figure, but it also scales better with Masterpiece Starscream as far as size is concerned. So if you're looking to get the trio, but you don't want to pay $200 each, this set, if you want all three Masterpieces, is $600. That's an absurd amount for 3 figures. I just can't justify it. The main reason I got this guy is because he was in the main numbering line, you know, MP10, MP11. I don't know if that's flawed logic or not, but that was my logic in getting him. And it is a good looking, you know, masterpiece. He's got a very nice head sculpt. And that's probably what he has over these guys. These guys don't even have articulation in the head. They just kind of turn. Oh, actually, no, they do. They can look up and down, so yeah, they're just as good as far as articulation is concerned. It's just the head sculpt itself is pretty poor. So we'll get these guys transformed into vehicle mode and do another comparison. We'll be right back. Alright guys, we're back from transforming, and I remember I really love the way these jets transform. You know, the Jetfire had such a nice transformation, and these guys carry that over pretty much identically. You know, there's not much change between this and the Jetfire. Sorry, I'm just seeing a gap here. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be there. Yeah, it looks like it's there. Anyway, yeah, the transformation really is good. It's, I guess what I can say is it's far better than the transformation for this guy. I really feel like the Starscream transformation kind of sucks. And I'm not going to go into that. You can watch my Starscream review to get an idea, but scale-wise, these are pretty close. I think the Starscream nose is just much longer. I mean, the Starscream figure in general is longer. It's probably more accurate to the actual vehicle, the actual F-15. But with that being said, these do scale together. You know, they do look like they belong together. You know, they're kind of the same size, other than the length. This is more like a it's F-27, whatever the Raptor is. This kind of has more of a Raptor look, and this is more the F-15 Eagle plane. And so it's a little bit longer. It's got a much longer nose. This one's more rounded and a little bit more, you know, it's shorter. But they do scale together. Now, as far as the cockpit goes, they are similar in size. I'll just hold it. Again, this is why I hate this figure so much. It just comes apart, and it's awful. Just an awful figure. But this cockpits are similar, but and this is another thing. This wheel falls down. Oh, goodness! Oh, this is bringing in bad memories. So if you open the cockpit, you can get this little holographic guy to fit in there. And this is a question I was going to answer in a previous review and I never answered. He does not fit in here. You can't get him in. If you do get him in, the cockpit doesn't close. So unfortunately, the little holographic pilot, even in the back seat, you can't get him in there, unfortunately. But who cares? I mean, we're not trying to put a pilot in there, so not a big deal. But to answer the question, the Masterpiece pilot does not fit in the Combiner Wars jets. But with that said, I really think these guys look great in jet mode. They're both well painted. They've got this metallic paint up front here. Nice tampo printing for the logo. Both have really nice rear wings. Good paint on the rear wings. They do have a slightly different color cockpit. This one's more orange and this one's more yellow, but pretty close. And looking at the bottom here, they are armed to the T. They have 6 different weapons on here, or 3 sets of weapons, whereas the Masterpiece Starscream just has the one. And I know the original came with some missiles that you could attach here, and maybe you would move these up to the side or something. But this only has one, one blaster there. It's kind of sad. It should have really had. I should have really had a spot. God, I hate this figure so much. Should have had a spot here on the wings for some missiles that you could attach. Sorry. You can watch my Masterpiece Starscream review, but as you can tell, I really am not a fan of this $200 figure. $25, I think generally is between $40 and $45 if you get him online or in the store. You'll usually see him for about $40. But for $25, this was a bargain, a steal. I consider it to be big enough to be Masterpiece size. I don't care that he doesn't scale with this guy. That's fine with me. But the 3 together, they do look good. They do look like they belong together. And I'm very happy, and I'm going to keep this as part of my collection. Unfortunately, Masterpiece Starscream, kind of sucks. And we'll just get him up on the... I was going to try to put him on the display stand, but it's such a pain in the ass, I'm just going to leave it alone. So that's it, guys. We do have this one weapon, I'm sorry. You can attach it to the front, but it looks really bad, so that's not really a great option. Another option is to attach it kind of down here on maybe one of the arms. And that looks a little better. It's almost centered, not quite. It's a little off center. But you could have it kind of on the bottom there as a little cannon. That's not too bad. It does interfere with the wheels, so it's not the best option. It's not really many other places to put that guy, so you could kind of mount him on the side here and then put this guy on the side of that as another option if you really wanted to get it on there. But again, that looks stupid. I have no plans to keep those with the figure. I'm going to put them back in the box. But if you wanted to, there are options on where you can put this. They're just not very good options. But that is it for these figures. I'm pretty happy that I purchased these guys. They're going to be on my masterpiece shelf along with Starscream, so I can complete my secret trio. And I saved myself, let's see, it would have been $400, so roughly $140. I'm sorry, it would have been $340. I saved myself $340 by buying these instead of the Masterpiece Seekers. So that's up to you guys. You know, if you really feel like you need those Masterpiece figures to complete your line, my opinion is they're not worth it. They're way too expensive, and they didn't really repair the molds, do anything different that warrants that price. So that's it for this review. My next review is going to be the Masterpiece Ratchet. We also have our Transformers Masterpiece news coming up at the end of March. Usually it's the March 21st, 22nd time frame. But we'll see if I get time to make that video. Please subscribe, like, leave any comments, ask me any questions about these figures or any other reviews that I've done. And thanks, and we'll see you next time.